to like this. Okay, the same guy, whatever was happening earlier, I do the same over here. Let me comment out this guy. And now I would like to go with, exporting this guy. I need to say export default props to move. Okay, now I say component one, this is going to happen. Let's come back and reload the page. Okay, it is going to come the same. It is not going to have any type of look and feel. So why the reason you're going for this way instead of this? One thing is here, I am not going to declare multiple functions here. Are we going to make use of this function? You know why this guy has come, variable declaration? The reason is we cannot invoke the sample before even declaration. Isn't it? Before the declaration, I can't make use of that function. That is the reason we are going with something called as variable type. Now, if I do line number 22, it will automatically throw an error for you saying that, boss, there is no sample here. So if at all you have to make use of the sample, I have to go for this. That is the reason we go with variable type of declaration. Point number one. And the reason why you go with this arrow function is this operator is the one what we are using. So in order to answer this guy, here, if I declare this guy, are we really using the props demo invoking within the same code, within the same file? No, right? We are invoking this component under your app.jsx. If there is a case where you are invoking that guy within the same file, then it is mandatory that you, not mandatory, then it is recommended that you go for this guy. So I'm not going to use that guy more than once, or else I'm not going to invoke that component within the same file, point number one. And the second thing is I'm not using classes here to make use of this operator. That is the reason using of the arrow function doesn't make much difference for me. That is the only reason I'm always going for this. Okay, but you defined a component either this way or you component defined it this way, it is always fine for you. Another reason also, here if I go with something called as I want to go with export default, I need to go with two statements here. First you declare it, later you're going to put some export. Can't you do this, guy? You can still say that. You can say something called as export so and so, but you cannot put default there because default can't take this let const variable declaration. So default for sure you need to make it as at the next level, at the next line. So obviously you cannot put directly default. So for sure I need to make sure this export will be, for export default will be at the end of the line. But if I do this guy at the same line, I can say export default function so and so. It will be more flexible for me. That is the only reason I'm doing this. It doesn't mean that we can't make use of the arrow functions. Are we clear? Okay, so even you do this or do this, you're going to get the same type of functionality here. Any questions? I already allowed for you guys to unmute. If you have anything, you can speak out. Okay? Yeah. So coming to this guy. Now, what do you mean by props, right? For example, I would like to create something called a visiting card. Okay, I want to design something called as a visiting card here. So in order to create this visiting card, I say var details is equal to a piece of JSON object, first name, last name, profession, so and so. Under this, I'm going for some UL. First name is so and so, last name, age, and profession. Okay, and how this component is coming? This is how it is coming. Let's add some look and feel changes for this. Uh, dot CSS. Okay, let us go with the CSS. I say UL tag, say some border, 2 pixels, solid, border, radius, pixel. Okay, so this guy, let us see some width of 250 pixels. Okay, as you like, this is a very simple visiting card what we are creating. This guy, where is the H2? Okay, this is how we have very simple visiting card. If you want, you can even put some footer guy also. Say some. Okay, something like this. A very simple visiting card. I have some questions here. You're not going with Bootstrap. You can go with if you want. We are mainly concentrating on the React functionality. We have already imported this Bootstrap, right, into your main.js6. You can start making use of it. Suppose we have create question from Pallavi. We have created component with arrow function. Can we write normal function? Obviously, right? If when we go with that is what is the use of the arrow function is just the variable declaration. Your variable hoisting is going to be useful. At the same time, you can make use of that this operator, etc. Other than that, remaining L functionality will be same, right? You can go with a normal function, say something called as ABC. You can still do that. Whatever the way we have done earlier, we can still do the same. Okay, that is not at all going to stop. That is the reason I'm defining this arrow function here so that you guys will understand there is no difference between either you're going with export default so and so or you go with the arrow function. Okay, both are going to be same. Avinash, what is HR means? It's a horizontal line HTML tag. Any questions? This is a very simple visiting card what I have created. Let me remove this. So in arrow function will only check for parent this, right? In arrow function will only check for parent this, right? No, right? I mean, why the arrow function parent this is coming? That is nothing related, right, Swati? Arrow function, that is where we need to be clear on that. Do we have a sample HTML? Okay, let me open a sample HTML. I'll quickly show you the difference here. Okay, I'm going to write a very simple JavaScript code. I say something called as, is this? Okay, I'll say something called as some class, something called as student details. This is a piece of class. Under that, obviously, I say some constructor and display details. This is what we have instead of display details. I say console.log student name is plus this dot name. Okay, age is so and so. This is what I have. And how you're going to invoke this class here? I say var s1 is equal to new student details of so and so. Okay, I'm saving this guy. Now, when I say a1 dot display details, what is going to happen? Let's have a look on this sample. Okay, I'm taking a plain JavaScript example, static HTML code, nothing to do with React, etc. Now you see student name is so and so, age is so and so. Are we clear up to here? A very simple class with some object and object is getting invoked with display details. Now what I wanted is I want to go with something called as some set timeout method. Okay, and I say some function, callback function, and under that student dot bind. I don't want to do this. Okay, so this is a separate function. Yeah. Okay, now you save this guy. What I have done is whenever user calling this display details, immediately I'm showing what is the name, what is the age, and the same guy I'm going to do after 3 seconds of time also. There is nothing change in the code. Same piece of code, display the student name so and so. Even after 3 seconds also, please show me the details of name and age. Okay, let us save this guy. Immediately, n number of times you show it. Once you reload the page, immediately name is ls and age is so and so, name is so and so, age is so and so. But after 3 seconds of time, why it is coming as undefined? The same object, why it is not having this property? The reason is whenever you say that the method has to be invoked after some time, it will be taking that method and keeping into the call stack. There is something called as a call stack which will be managed by your JavaScript memory, where it is going to put that method in the call stack. After 3 seconds of time, the call stack method will be invoked automatically. But at the time of invoking, I don't know what do you mean by this operator. Okay, immediately when I say this here, what do you mean by this? S1. S1 dot name, S1 dot age. But after 3 seconds of time, I'm forgetting what do you mean by S1. I'm not holding that value saying that this means S1. That is the reason this error is going to come. If you have to solve this guy, we have to say something called as dot bind of this. I am going to bind this operator to this function. Manually, I am forcefully saying that you please bind this operator to this function so that when you do this guy, you see after 3 seconds of time, it is holding this alias and so on. So but here, manually, you are telling that boss, please bind this operator with you so that after some time it will be useful for you. But this is with your normal function. But if at all, I am using something called as set timeout with something called as arrow function. The same piece of code, I'm not doing anything. I'm simply passing it as an arrow function. So if it is an arrow function, you don't need to manually hold this operator. By default, when I'm going into the call stack, I make sure I will store this reference over there. So that you call me after some time, even after some time also, I will be holding that value. You see, after some time, the grade is still coming. It's not undefined. At the same time, here manually, you're not binding anything. If it is a normal function, you need to manually bind this. If it is an arrow function, by default, it does that. This is the difference between the arrow function and your normal function. In interview, people will ask this. Arrow function, people say that it's only definition. It is only minifying the definition. No, not just only definition. Functionality also changes. It will keep hold of that this object reference, even you call it after some time. Did that answer your question, Swati? Okay, Nagamani, arrow function is only recommended whenever we invoke the component in the same file. Again, I mean, as I said, you right, arrow function is not only for that. If it is not arrow function, I can say that even variable declaration is also fine. Just a function with variable declaration also, you can go with the same if you are declaring in the same file. Okay, so I mean, mostly to just follow the ECMA standards, we are using at least in your React. The reason is, in case of your React, we are not going to call this component within the same file. This will be invoked somewhere else. So at somewhere, it will be importing, then we are making use of it. So there's no chance people will use this component before their declaration. That is the reason we can go with this way also. This is not getting the name. Why so? Show name function. This, I mean, this is not the right way of defining this guy, right? Okay, you're saying this guy is not showing the name. Where is that? You're defining an
Sir,
object.
sir, actually, I have tried this code. This is a normal function, the code which I have provided to you. So this is printing the name, this dot name. But when I've tried the same thing with the arrow function format, it is not fetching the name. Uh,
Okay, if you say this guy, what you're saying is object dot show name. Once you reload the page, ABC is coming for you. But if I
yes,
say instead of this, if there is arrow function, it is not going to come. That is what you're saying.
yes, sir.
Reload the page, age is not coming. The reason is when you are using this arrow function, this is not the right way to go for. If it is a static object, this is a wrong way of defining a method inside the object. It should be simply this guy, right? Why arrow function is coming at least? It should not come, right? This is the right way of defining this guy. Okay, now you reload the page. ABC will come. So you're giving the wrong definition inside this. If it is arrow function, that is the latest ECMA. If it is latest ECMA inside the static object, this is the way you define the method, not that way. Clear? Okay, anyone else? Any more questions? This is regarding the arrow function. So now that is the reason I want to make you guys clear that don't have this confusion that why he's going with arrow function, why not he's going with arrow function. Just only these are the limitations I have. I don't want to repeat this, keeping this variable declaration somewhere. Later I want to go with export. I don't want to do that. That's the reason I'm going. But yes, according to the latest TechMark standards, this is mostly recommended to go for. Okay, so coming back to your visiting card, this is the visiting card what actually I'm doing. At the same time, now I would like to say some background color for this. Background color, so and so, like this. And color is hash FFF. Okay, this is how I'm going to have the visiting card. Now, I would like to go with some different visiting card here. Now, how you're going to go for that? In order to make use of this different visiting card, go to your app.jsx. I'll go with this. This is how I'm going for. If I want the same component to be used, just reuse this component. This is how it is coming. The problem what I see is every time the visiting card is getting created only for John. Okay, what if like I want to create a visiting card from Mr. Prasad? So what I have to do? I have to recreate a separate component for the Prasad here. So instead of that, I want the same look and feel, but the content has to be replaced here. So in that case, can I go with something called passing parameters to this guy? Yes, it is possible. Okay, so that is where props is going to come into the picture. So what do you mean by props here? The parameters, whatever we are going to pass to this component, that can be catched as an object within your component definition. Okay, how it is? For example, I go with something called under your app.jsx, I would like to put something called as user name is equal to something called as John. I would like to say something called as age is equal to say some so and so. I would like to say profession is equal to something called as engineer. So this is the parameters what I'm going to pass. Anytime you want to pass parameters to the particular component, those will be going in the form of a properties. These are not attributes, these are properties. Now, whatever the properties you are going to pass, how you are going to catch within your component here, you will be automatically getting a keyword, getting an object, which we call it something called as props. And now if we console this props, what actually the props you're going to get, all the values, all the properties, whatever you're going to pass it here, those all will be coming as an object to you automatically. Okay, now let us save this guy, come back. Once we inspect this guy, you go to the console. Are you getting an object with all the properties whatever you're passing? Yes, even though you're passing them as individual props, those all will be combined as an object. It will be coming. Not only this guy. For example, I'm going to say, for this guy, I say class name is equal to something called as say some test. I have this guy some ID. These are the predefined props. ID is equal to say some container. Any props, whatever you're passing, either it is user defined or this predefined, everything will be part of this object. You see, once you reload this component, you see, this is the object which is coming. Every values whatever you're passing to the passing as a props to the particular component, those can be catched in the form of a props object here. Is this props is a predefined? No, boss. Say for example user info. Okay, instead of props, I'll make it as something called as user info. In general, we call it as a props. That is how we generally refer. The parameters, whatever you are passing, it is in the form of a props. But it's up to you, whatever the name you want, because it's a formal parameter, uh, not a actual parameter. Are we clear? Now, if we have this user data, instead of hard coding this guy, I will go with something called as this guy. Again, I'll making it as props to make it more relevant, descriptive. So I'll say something called as props dot last name, props dot age, and props dot push. Can I do this? Now the advantage I have is once you save this, I have this guy. Why the name is not coming? Okay, it is not first name. Okay, we are not passing it as first name and last name, right? We are passing them as username. So I will say props dot username. Come back. This is how it is coming. The advantage what I have is now your component is capable of taking parameters. If I want to go with some different person, I simply say your username is something called as Tina Smith. Okay, age something called as so and so. Profession something called as HR. Okay, A, B, C, like this. Now, once you come back, the same component is working for a different data. Are we clear? So this is what the advantage we have with your component to props here. We can take dynamic parameters. Accordingly, we can make the component to get rendered. Not only this, anything you want. Obviously, once you have this data, you can put some conditions, you can put some validations, anything you want. This all logic will be depending on this props values, whatever you're passing. Now, the question what you guys will be having is, aren't we not unnecessarily getting all this data? I'm only in need of username. I'm only in need of age. I'm only in need of profession. Why the hell this class name and ID is also coming for us? Agree? Why the hell the class name and ID is coming? I don't need it, this guy. I mean, because like for a component, we might generally pass classes, styles, etc. That is not needed. So if you are expected or if you want to read only the data what is being passed, not all the data, in that case, what we can go is instead of directly taking this object, we can go with something called as destructuring. Under that, I can simply say only the username comma, age, comma, profession. This is the only thing what we wanted. We are not going to read every other data. And now you can directly make use of username. Instead of props dot, you can simply say age directly, props, age, age, username, age, and profession. Now you save it, reload, come back, reload. This is how it is working. It is not mandatory that you need to read all the props. By default, it is coming. If you are not in need of it, you can directly ignore that guy and you can destructure those values by reading only the values what you wanted. Any questions up to this? Anyone? Any questions? Can we take these props from users? Obviously, we can do, right? Here, I am passing this data. Either you pass. Now, here, I will say something called where user age equal to something called as 20. Now, you take this user age and you keep it. like this. Now, instead of hard coding this guy, I will take it from input element. You take it. Okay, the only thing is you need to pass a value. Either you hard code the data or you read the value from the user. It's up to you. Clear, Avinash?
Hello, sir.
Parvat, can I pass the object reference in the component parameter? Object reference. You mean to say the use ref hook value you're talking about? Pravat, please confirm it. Amresh, what if I want to change also look and feel, but structure remained the same? That's again, Amresh. Like for example, if you say, I want to say background color. Okay, background color is the property what you're going to pass. I'll say something called as red color for this guy. I'll take say something called as yellow. Okay, now you are going to get the background color also over here, comma background color. Now you take out this guy. If you want to put the background color for this, go for this style, right? We already have the style property. Okay, under this, we are going to pass it as a JSON object. This background color is the background color, whatever you're going to get. Save this, reload. Now, one component will take one look and feel, second component will take second look and feel. Anything you take it. Assume that is the reason I have compared you with your functions. If I have a function, that function has to work differently for the different parameters you pass. You pass it as a parameter, you build your own logic inside it. Am I clear with your question, Amresh? Someone else is asking a question. Who is that? Someone had a
Hello.
question. Yes, ma'am. Go
Hello.
ahead, Madhuri.
Yes, sir. So, with the help of component, we build the UI, correct? So, in which case we use the form control? Because I missed that session of form control. That's why I asked this.
Shall I do that discussion later, Madhuri? Because, like, I mean, if I discuss about form, people will
Mhm.
confuse. Maybe at the end of the session, please remind me. I will throw some light on it. Okay?
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other questions on this props? Anivesh, Avinash, when you're putting the question, please put it to everyone so that it will be easy that when I'm answering, they know what actually the question is. So your question is create a website to generate visiting card and they should download that. Downloading is a different feature, right? Now at least you got a feature. Now what you can do is instead of that, first of all, let us go with creating a visiting card. Okay, provide an option for the user name, your age, your profession. You click on generate, then the component will be coming over here. Okay, so that's a good thing you can try. Can you guys try for that? I wanted something called as input fields where it is taking the username, where it is taking the what do you say, the age or profession, whatever it is. At the same time, background color, what type of color you wanted. Once we click on generate, now you can use this form tag or input elements to read all the data, make a JSON object out of it, pass the JSON object to this visiting card. Okay, you can try for that. Next, Pravat, I need to pass object like const person. Yeah, you can pass it, right? For example, okay, you want to say that, boss, I don't want to pass all this data as an individual. I want to pass it as a direct object, right? That is what your question is. Say, for example, where address info is equal to a piece of JSON object, something like this. Now you want to pass this address object here. So how you're going to pass? I say something called as address is equal to address info. Now how you're going to catch this guy here? Here you simply say comma address. Now let us console this guy. I say console.log address. How you're going to get the address? Whatever the data you pass from there as an object, you will be receiving as an object here. Go to console. You see, is this is your address object? Yes. Am I clear, Pravat? Anything you can pass, anything, object, string, data, anything, whatever you want, you can just pass it and you read it. Accordingly, you're going to do, you are going to parse and you're going to make use of it. Are we clear up to here? So props can be passed. You don't need to destructure it. For example, if I simply say something called as props here, everything is coming for you. Class name, ID, address, everything. But here I'm not interested with all. I'm only interested with these props. You can just make use of. And sometimes what happens is, what if user is not going to pass this? For example, user says, and okay, where he is not, he might say that, no, I don't want this background. I may want to go with something called as default. Now, so how you're going to put this default, instead of this default, this is a CSS which it is coming. But what if like I want to put some separate default values here? You already know functions with default, function parameters with default values. The same thing can be used here. I go for this. I'll say background color. I'll say background color is equal to something called as pink. Now, what do you mean by this? I will read the username as a property value, age as a property parameter, profession, address. When it comes to background color, if user is passing the data, I will take that value. If the user is skipping the data, I will take pink as the default value. Okay, save this guy, reload. This is the one. User haven't specified anything. I'll take it as default. So the props can be read as direct values or using object destructuring, or props can be even assigned with some default values also. Any questions up to this? I'll create another best example, but are we clear with this? We are done with all the things, whatever we can do with props, but I'll create one of the very, what do you say, in a real time, how do we make use of it? Make use of this props, I'll show you. But before that, are we clear on this? Online, any questions? Can I go forward? Everyone is good, right? Very nice. Now, what I wanted is, I would like to create some product details page, guys. Same under the props itself. I'm creating a separate folder, something called as product details. Under that, product details dot JSX. Under that, I'm going to say product details dot CSS. Okay, under this product details, I say export default product details like this. Okay, and how you're going to make use of this guy here? I'm commenting this guy. I'll say product details like this. Let's import this. Okay, so this is how the product details component is getting rendered on the page. My simple requirement is I have to show some product details, list of product details using some API, dynamic API, dynamic data I would like to render. In order to go with that, I'll go with fake API store. Under that slash products. Okay, this is how I have an API. Now you make use of this. I will go with product details. I'll say, if at all I have to do some API call, where is it is recommended? Can I say something called as Axios dot get? Can I do this? Is it is recommended directly put your API call within your component body directly, or where it has to be placed? Come on, where it has to be placed? Use effect is a callback method, right? We discussed that. Use effect is the callback method. Sorry, use effect is the hook, predefined hook, under which you're going to keep your API calls. Okay, under this, I'm going to say Axios dot get fake API store so and so. I'll say slash products dot. Then once you have your response, you're going to have it dot catch. If you have any error while reading the data, this guy will be invoked. Catch guy will be coming with something called as error. And this guy is going to come with something called as response. Okay, now what is the response you're going to show here? Console.log response.data. Okay, if you have any error. Clear? Save this guy, come back to your component. Once you inspect this, console, reload the page. Use effect is not defined. Where this use effect has to come from? It is coming from your React. Okay. Reload this. This is how this guy is coming. And you see that? You see the data is coming. Why 2 times data is coming? Why 2 times use effect got invoked? Why this API got invoked twice? Come on, we just discussed strict mode. Okay, if I go into this app.js6 and sorry, main.js6, you see, if I remove the strict mode, I'll say that no, whatever the production base you're entering, the same thing has to be worked. Now, when I come back and reload the page, you see only 1 time it's continued. I mean, 2 times mounting is not happening. Okay, I'll keep the strict mode, come back, reload the page. This is how the API data is coming for me. My expectation is I want to render the good product details on this page. It is having some image, it is having some description, etc. Now here, as people wanted to go with Bootstrap also, I will go with Bootstrap cards. Okay, I'll go with Bootstrap. There is something called as cards. Okay, so this is how we have something called as a card here. In order to render this card, I'm taking this HTML, I'm coming back. Don't save app.jsx. Okay, so here I'm going to render a component like this. Okay, image tag. Why it is an error? In case of React, in React fragment, every component should have a closing tag. Okay, so this is the card what I have added. Let us see how this card look and feel is coming for us. Invalid DOM property class. What it has to be in case of your React, it should be class name, right? Equal to. That's all. Okay, save this guy, reload the page. Style property expects. Do we have style here? Okay, if it is React, do we give the style width like this? No, what it has to be? It has to be something like a expression. Under the expression, we need to pass it as a JSON object. Under the JSON object, this guy will become a key and this guy will become a value. Right? Save this. And this is how the component card is getting rendered on the page. Okay. Now this component, this card has to be rendered multiple times for all the products. We know how do we do that? Multiple times. How do we go for that? Do I need to iterate this to show multiple cards for individual products here? Yes. So how you're going to do that? First of all, product details has to be stored inside a state variable. Yes, I say const. I'll say something called as product details as set product details. Set product details is equal to use state is so and so. Everybody is so clear with these topics, right? Now I say product details is set product details response.data. Whatever the data I'm getting, that I'm keeping inside your product details. Now using your product details, can I iterate over this? Yes, I keep this guy inside a expression. indentation is very much important, guys. Otherwise, you will confuse. So make sure you give the valid indentation. Otherwise, add this indentation plugin. Okay, now I say this product details dot map is the method. Okay, map is the method which is going to get iterated. Under this, can I directly keep this guy inside this map? Yes. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Let us save this, come back and reload. You see, this is how the cards are getting rendered. I still have to make them as better look and feel. Before that, first of all, what I have to do is this guy is, I'll say, some div class name equal to product details container. Okay, this is all the product details container, I'll say. So this product details container, I'm going to make them as something called as display flex because I want to render them in a row wise. And if it is row by default, anyway, it is row wise and flex direction, not column wise. I'll say something called as row and flex hyphen wrap as wrap. Now, once you come back, reload the page, this is how it is coming. Why this look and feel is breaking? Because we have this predefined app.css. I'm going to remove all this. Okay, this is how it is coming. But flex direction, I mentioned them as row. Why the reason it is coming as column?
I think
Sorry?
so. You have not imported that CSS.
Haven't I? Yes, I'm checking whether you guys are observing or not. Good. Okay, I say import product details, so and so. This is, and now it is wrap. This is how the product details are coming. Okay, and make it more better look and feel. I say dot card. I'll say width is equal to, do we have card only? This is not product details. Yeah, this is card, right? So I don't want to hard code this width here. Instead, I can go with CSS class. Okay, width is going to be, say, some 350 pixel. And I'll say margin 20 pixels. Okay, and I can still go for that. I can say 450 pixel. Okay, this is how the card details are coming. And instead of go to somewhere, I will say add to cart. Okay, now here image is coming as empty. Instead of that, can I go with the image source as the value what we are going to get? Obviously here we are going to get it as product. Okay, I'll take this product instead of this src, I'll say product dot image. Job is done. Escape, reload the page. This is how the images are coming. So every image is dynamically, it is having its own width and height. Let's control that. Now I say img width is equal to width is 100% height auto, but it will be same again. I'll control the width, say something called as 350 pixels and height of say some 200 pixel. Okay, this is how individual image is coming. Okay, on the top now, instead of this card title, can I show the title here? Where is that? Instead of this card title, I can go with product dot title. Come back. This is how product dot title is coming. In the same way, description, everything you can start working on it. Any questions on this? Nothing. I have used any props and all. I am dynamically hitting one of the API, getting the data, rendering the data dynamically. That's it. Nothing else we have done. We'll be using the props here. How to make this child component. We'll have a look on that. Any more questions up to this? Okay, sir, go with React Bootstrap, making mapping easy. Okay, you are clear now, Amrish, right? Parameshwar, in server hosted code, it's not recommended. What do you mean by that, Parameshwar? Can you be more clear on this? Okay, so how strict mode is exactly helping? So the strict mode is exactly helping by remounting the component twice. Okay, I mean, for example, I say something called as when I'm arranging events here. Okay, when I'm arranging an event, in the trial event, I say that, okay, before the actual event is happening, I'll do something called as a trial event. So in the trial event, what I'm doing, when if someone is performing, I'll say that make sure you perform it twice so that I'll make sure everything got settled well. That is the only thing. But when it comes to the real, you don't make the things to be twice. So just a strict mode is helping in developer mode. By default, it will be rendering every, I mean, app component under that for 2 times. That is one. And the second one is it will automatically show you the warning messages if you have any. The same will not be shown in case of your production. And the third thing, what it is going to do is if you are using any type of deprecated methods, it is going to show the alert messages at the time of development mode. The same thing will not be done in case of your production mode. These are the things what your strict mode is doing. Clear, Swati? Next. Parameshwar, strict mode can be applied in only local, right? In server hosted code, obviously it is not recommended. Forget about recommended. There is no way you can do that also. You keep the strict mode. You say that, okay, generate me a production version. It will automatically remove the strict mode component. You can't even do that. Okay. Any more question, Nageshwar? Where from all images has come? Come on, Nageshwar. Here we are using the API call, right? We are hitting the API. The response, whatever I'm getting, I'm making use of it. It's an API call. Any more questions? Can I go forward? Everyone. Okay. Now, the requirement what I have is I even want to show some rating over here. I want to show some rating messages. So how do I go with the rating here? Here, if you see in the API, okay, so if I go with something called as rating, you see there is something called as dot rate. Okay, rating is coming here, which is as rate here. What I will go for this guy is, you see here, this is a dependency. If you see in your background, API calls are keep on happening. Why the reason? You have not given the dependency list. Even though either it is depending or not, if there is no dependency, mention the array of dependencies. Okay, make it as no dependencies. Otherwise, it will be keep on doing. So those are the side effects what you're going to get if you don't pass it as a square brace, empty square brace. Okay, now you see only twice it is happening. Why it is twice? You know the strict mode. Okay, so what I was doing, rating, right? So my expectation is I would like to show some rating here, which is product dot how it is coming under products rating dot rate. Okay, save this guy, reload the page. This is how it is coming. Rating as 404.1, so and so, so and so. But my expectation is I want to create a I want to create those stars. Okay, that stars you'll be having, right? For highlighted start, disabled start. So that type of stars I would like to keep it over here instead of doing this. Now what I will do is instead of directly showing, I will create a separate component for the stars, because for stars again I'll be having some set of HTML. I don't want to combine everything into one single component. Okay, make it as a separate component. Now under this product details, I'm creating a separate folder, something called as common. Okay, under the common, I'm going to say rating stars dot JSX, a separate component. Now here I'm going to say export default function rating stars like this, and I say return rating stars component like this. Now, how this rating stars will be used, where I'm going to make use, not in your app.jsx. Here itself, I'm going to make use of this rating stars. I'll say this is the rating stars component. Where this guy is coming from, now I need to import this guy, right? Now I need to say import rating stars from so and so. Now let us save this. You see, for every component, it has to expected comma in your rating stars. Oh, I missed to put the brace. Okay, save this. Reload the page. You see, every component is having something called as rating star component getting rendered. Now, instead of this text message, can I put the logic of showing the stars here? Right? So let's do that. So you see, I'm not at all disturbing the actual component. So this is a separate component. Everywhere I'm only working with the ratings within this component. So the advantage is this rating stars can be injected anywhere you wanted. Okay, so how you're going to put the rating here? Assume, first of all, I'll go with hard coding logic. Okay, first of all, I'll say var rating is equal to something called as 3.5. Now, here I need to I need to keep this, what do you say? I need to generate this ratings if it is 3.5. Generally, what I have to have? 3 full stars, 1 half star, and 1 disabled star. Okay, for this, first of all, get the star images, rating star images. Do we have rating star images in Bootstrap? Okay, I'll go with this. Rating stars. I think this will work, right? So I will say, using my snipping tool, I will take this only image which I wanted. You see here, I want these 3 stars. If I have these 3 stars, I can create any type of rating, yes or no? If I have these 3 stars, I can create any type of ratings here. Now let me save this guy. Where I'm going to store this. First of all, let us keep inside your desktop. Rating stars. This is the rating stars. I am taking out this guy. Where you are going to keep? It is recommended under your SRC. There is something called as assets folder. All the static images recommended to keep it over here. Can I keep it inside my specific component also? You can do that, but recommended to keep it at one single place. Now, how you are going to use this rating star image here? I'll say import rating star image from rating star src asserts under that it is dot dot slash dot dot slash dot dot slash dot slash asserts rating star. Okay, let us see whether we are getting this or not. IMG SRC is star rating image. Okay, we'll go one by one. Let us see whether the image is coming or not for us. Failed to resolve SVG. I have not given SVG, right? It is PNG. Assets. This auto say, oh yeah, this is PNG. Why it is not existed? SRC asserts rating stars. This is how the rating star image is coming for us. Okay. Now, instead of this, okay, I'm getting that my component is getting rendered fine for everyone. Now let's control the look and feel for this. So for this, what I will do is under this common, let us say rating stars dot CSS. Under this rating stars, I will create something called as dot full star class. I'll say dot half star class dot disabled star class. Okay, 3 stars I'm going to put. Now full star. Either it is full star, half star, or disabled star. For all of them, the background image is URL. Now I need to use this image over here, not over here. Okay, one single image. I'll say this guy is say some width of 20 pixel, height of 20 pixel. Save this guy, reload. Why it is still coming as an image? I'll save.
Style wrapper is not added in JSX file.
Yes. I'll say something called as div class name equal to star rating container. Under that div full star. Import star. Okay, this is how the full star is coming. Let us set some height, width and height for this. So the full star Width is going to be height is 34 pixel. This is the width and height for this. Okay, this is how one star is coming. Now, if at all it is half star, how you're going to do that? For the half star, full star, I don't need to do anything. For the half star, I need to specify the background position. Background hyphen position, something called as some 10 pixel and 10 pixel. Let us see how it is rendering. Now under this, I'll put some half star. Okay, let us see how it is coming. Why it is coming to the new line? Because this rating container should be a flexible container. Display flex, that's true. If it is half star, this is how half star comes, right? You know, I think width can be still increased. Yeah, this is good. So this is your half star. Everybody knows the CSS properties, right? Background positions. Nothing to do with your React. It is 32. Okay, if you see here, one full star is coming and one half star is coming. I'm doing one by one job. Now I'll see how this disabled star is going to come. So even for the disabled star, I'll say background position is almost same. And how this disabled star is going to come, I say some div class name is equal to disable star. Come back, reload the page. This is how the disable star is. Disable star, let us set the position. This is your disable star. Okay, this is how the rating I could able to give it. But the question is, I could able to write 3 different classes which are capable of showing the disable star or enable star or half star. But now my requirement is you have to show the corresponding star number of stars depending on the ratings what you have. Now what is the logic? I say rating equal to 3.5. Now you tell me how many full stars? So where full stars is equal to, if I round off this guy, automatically you're going to get this full stars. Yes or no? Yes, right? So it is going to be, I say math.floor rating, in the sense it will be 3. 3 full stars I have to show. Okay. I'll say where half stars. This guy is automatically giving the logic. You know, right? How do you say half star? For example, if it is 3.2, how many half stars? 3.2. How many half stars? 1. 3.9. How many half stars? 1. Any decimal value, obviously you're going to show 1 half star only. So now how I'm going to define this? I am taking this rating value, I'm dividing with 1. If it is not equal to 0, I will say 1. If it is equal to 0, that is 0. Okay, half stars is going to be 0. Now how it is disabled stars? Empty stars is equal to, totally it should be 5 minus full stars minus half stars. Will tell you how many empty stars you need to render. Agree? Now I will be using the same real logic here, full stars, right? But one thing is I need to run it. Did we do this before? Did I show this? No, first time only, right? Okay. So now the question is, how do we run the for loop based on the full star? Now those many number of times the full star has to come. Now half star, obviously you will check your condition. This guy is an expression. Under that half star is equal to 1 ampersand, then only this guy is going to come. Only if half star is equal to 1, then only this guy will come. Because half star you don't have repetitive, right? Disable star is repetitive, full stars is also repetitive, but whereas half star, it will not be repetitive. Okay, now you see, for example, I say only 3 here, you won't get the half star. Okay, now our question is, how do we render multiple full stars based on this value? Okay, so I will pause it for today. Tomorrow I will see like how you're going to do. So now the where this props is going to come is, currently I'm going to hard code this rating. Instead of this, now what we'll do is we will start passing parameters to this rating stars. Okay, we have to pass that rating value like 4.1 so and so that you could able to see that, okay, how many ratings is going to come. So the component has to get rendered based on the parameter what you're passing to me. Clear, everyone? Pravat, I could not understand the empty star logic. Very simple. For example, I say something called as 3.5. You tell me how many full stars? Full stars is equal to 3. Half star is equal to 1. Now, how many disable stars? Disable stars or empty stars, you will say. Empty stars is equal to, obviously, it is 1, right? So, how this logic is coming? Totally, it should be 5. 5 minus 3 plus 1 is equal to 1. Clear, Pravat? Swati, you have some question in form tag. Sure. Yeah. What is the question, ma'am? Go ahead, please.
Sir, could you please move on to that file, sir?
Okay, you want to open that file?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sir, line number 42.
42.
41.
Okay.
41.
Okay.
Sir, we have the function definition, right? User handle form submit.
Yes.
And sir, in that function definition, like if condition from line number 21 to like whatever the conditions are, so they
Okay.
are going to return the message as well as the error field, right?
I mean,
Based on the condition.
yes. I mean,
Based
the
on
question
the
is,
condition satisfied, it is going to return the message as well as whatever it is returning. So
whenever
where
I
all
use
this
this action state, the handler function responsibility is how to return an object in this format. That is what my requirement is. Now, this object will be returned with whatever you do. You put some if condition, you put some loopy condition, whatever it is. I want some status message. Using that, I will be showing the status messages accordingly. That is the reason I'm expecting a object type of object from the handler function.
Sir, my doubt is whenever we are defining the function, so whatever the values it is written from the function, they'll be automatically called written by the function, right? And why we are externally specifying this object beside this function called line number 41, the form of object. See,
Okay.
the previous state is anyhow is going to have these values, right? Message, error field, and form data.
Now, whatever this data is coming, right? I'm returning one data. Forget about object, array, whatever it is. Where it is getting
Okay.
stored? At line number 41, where it is getting stored? Is it not into the state variable?